everyone. We're not able to shoot today because they're spraying on the property. So what we thought we'd do is a video that we've been asked a few times about, and that's to show our vehicle and the way it's set up. So I'll grab the camera and Mark will walk you through with the bits and pieces.
Okay, well, like Sam said, I just want to do a quick talk about the vehicle just for what people have asked, and to show a little bit of stuff of how I've got it set up in the back of it. Basically, it's what we call a Mitsubishi Triton. That's the L200 in the US, and there's probably different names around the world, but L200 or Triton is what I largely know it as. It's a 2.5 litre turbo diesel, so it's in truth the first diesel that we've owned, and the first thing that's not a supercharged V8 that we've owned for the last 20 years. So it's a big step for us in that direction, and it may even get the V8 or the supercharged V8 in the really long term, but it does a good job at what it is like this, and we haven't bothered modifying it other than all the things we've done to make it more functional. On the front here we have what's called a roo-bar, which is essentially a bar that designed for, if you hit a roo, it doesn't damage things so much. Yes, kangaroos do have this habit of leaping out in the middle of the road, especially in the nighttime side of things. Equally, we have them on there a little bit along the lines of the Murphy's Law side of it, which means that if you have protection on the front of the vehicle, you don't need protection on the front of the vehicle. If you don't have protection, that's when you're going to need it. So it also works well as for the spotlight mount for the early morning driving, that sort of stuff that we do, and for aerial mounts. We run a UHF two-way system in the car, so we have both handheld units we can use out, and we have a system in the car, and this is for the radio, which we really don't use, but the Triton has a roof mounted aerial, which means it limits the height it can go through. These things set up on the front here means that we don't have any issues with height restriction because of that. That's basically the front of it. Standard engine, well, it's been chipped up and things, so it makes more power and goes a bit better than standard, but otherwise it's really just the standard engine. The other thing that's different about how I set things up, it's on 20-inch wheels. Most guys will tell you you're going to run a 15 or a 17-inch wheel with a big tyre, which makes it better for four-wheel driving. It gives you more sidewall flex, and you can do more stuff in soft dirt and things like that. And they're right in soft dirt. There is places where these wouldn't be the best, but I've deliberately gone with a big wheel so that I have a lower sidewall to the tyre, which makes for high-speed driving, high-speed handling, travelling at the 110, 120 k's an hour. This thing goes around corners better, it's nice to drive, and on these big Cooper tyres, they actually handle very well. They are a big tyre, you're running a 275 width, so they're a big wide tyre, and they work really well for us, but that's the reason why. So we get the good compromise of the highway driving and still decent stuff for the sort of four-wheel driving that we do. We've set it up with wide sideboards on it, running boards on it, so that just stop rocks and stuff from getting there. There still is the dents and things that end up in the door from sticks and things flicking up, but basically it looks after itself. Other than that, inside the car, like I said, we have two ways and GPS and bits and pieces inside there. I won't bore you with that stuff. The back of the car is, we deliberately got a four-door, because all our normal soft gear, the camera cases, the backpacks with all our shooting gear in the way of the, like I said, the soft stuff, and whether they're scopes and bits and pieces then that we want to run inside the cabin, all go across this back seat. Taking the seat belts out, taking the headrests out, that sort of stuff. It's a nice packing zone for that area, but pretty standard on that side of things, and we just certainly fill that space up with all the gear that goes in there. Where we've done things that are probably more a little bit more innovative and work for us, this canopy went on the back of it. With this canopy we have comes with flip up windows and things that gives us good access everywhere. It's all lockable. We also have alarm systems on it so that this actually can be locked up in the middle of the city without issues, and we know that this is then monitored all the time with GPS monitoring. When we have firearms and things in this is all monitored in this car. The part of what we also did when we did that was run these two storage drawers. I don't know what the rest of the world has. This sort of stuff is not uncommon for Australian four-wheel drives. You get different formats of it. I've got these drawers as nice long drawers. It's another reason we chose this, that it's got a nice long tray on it. nice long drawers that let us pack up stuff inside here, so a pair of drawers like that. And then we actually have on the side here little covers just to make it all look a little bit neater and tidier, that we have a whole heap of storage space alongside there. So we have toolkits. On the other side here we have the full, let's get that out of there, the full emergency first aid kit in there. All bits and pieces are tucked away. They all get a bit dirty and dusty in the back of a ute that's not sealed, but that's where a lot of the stuff that we don't use very much is stored. Remember how to get that back in there. Those are just little covers just to make it look neater and tidier. So on that sort of stuff, like I said, we've got these drawers. These drawers, I've set this one up with some dividers for if you want them, but largely we run towels, lots of spare towels. These are our steel GoPro stands, Sam's shooting bag that she sits on for her spotting. We have in here from tarps to white paint to there's also axes and all sorts of tools and bits and pieces you're going to run into for what we need in our shooting side of things, but really well set up. We take our the main bits and pieces in and out. The likes of tarps and paint and axes and things are always in this thing, so we're always ready and prepared on that side of things. This other drawer is set up with foam liners. So I've just simply gone through and put in different forms of foam around the place, used contact cement and stuck the foam in there. It lets us run, a rifle can sit in there by itself, and it's protected around here. We generally run them in a bag, and in bags we can put 6 rifles inside this here. We quite commonly do when we go in for our prac shotgun and that side of things, or different events where we've got 3 or 4 different rifles, then we'll have each have a set of rifles, all can go in here and all lock away. But that's where our normal hunting and sporting, you know, shotguns and things, they travel in this, set up for this. And then in our full, when we're going with our big target rifles, then this is also, as you can see in here right now, we have from Sam's spotting scope to the shooting bag to her bipod, sorry, her tripod, a laser rangefinder, ammo runs in the back here, all sorts of bits and pieces. It's nice to have these things protected running in the foam surface. Takes a bit of the vibration out of it, but is made as a protective drawer, quite a different setup to the other drawer. That's what we do there. And the place which I probably like the best about this is inside this surface area here. What I've done is a couple of things. First off, what I did is made these rails, which are, if you have a look here, I've just used 1/4" stainless steel bar, welded it up with little spaces so it sits up off the ground, then screwed it right through to there. That lets us actually run these simple straps, which strap over the top of, front and rear, over the back of these rifle cases. Let's get my hand to where I can do that up. Straps up there without too much fuss. So that goes on there, so then that is one big rifle. That's normally where we carry one big rifle, and we can carry one. On the top here, you'll see I've made this frame, which is once again a fairly simple frame, which this can run 2 full boxes on the top of it if it wants to. We can obviously carry more using the other side, but normally we'll just carry 2 or 3 when we go out for a shoot on this little setup. It lets us carry other things in here as well, but really this whole side was designed for our long rifles, in our target rifles in big cases, and getting them in here and making it all travel. This stuff here, I've done 3 of these rails, so you have one in the middle and one on either side, and you'll see forward here we have where we can run our target systems in various forms. This is our normal setup, which we use a strap that just runs around those, so we have our little kit in the way of the target frame. And underneath here, I'll just undo that so you can see what we're looking at. We are, from being a motorbike rider and travelling to being a mechanic and looking after cars and all the rest of it, really don't like to have metal rubbing against metal unless it's designed for it. So these all fit together but stick together. Underneath here we use a towel. Underneath here we have one of our targets. I'll just strap those around like we normally would, and we can have up to like the 3 or 4 frames in here, or a dozen I suppose. We normally carry the 2 or 3. Well, we normally just do 1, but we quite often have 2 or 3 frames. Strap them down with this system, very easy. They can go to any place, straps around there nicely. and with just 2 simple straps, that is in there nice and solid, holding down the target, can't move out of there, works really nicely. So anyway, this is our, one last thing I should say, the back end of the Triton, all stock once again, well, sort of. I've done a little bit of changing it from a ute to a sedan in its suspension feel. I've changed the rear, added a sway bar, removed some tension from the springs, and set it up to where this thing drives a bit better for high speed bumpy corners and that sort of stuff, just simply to make it a nicer vehicle to travel in. And found no negatives to the four-wheel drive side of it, but I'm sure in extreme four-wheel driving or using it as trying to carry around a ton of weight in the back of it, it's not ideal. For what we do, it works really nicely. And last thing you also see, as I said, in the way of looking after things, some simple rubber mat that's been stuck around the place so you're not chipping off paint and that sort of stuff in there. But it has worked really well for us. It works really nicely. So anyway, for those people that don't care, sorry, but for people who have been asking, and for maybe giving some ideas of how you can set up your rig to be able to carry big rifles and not deal with the normal issues of trying to strap stuff down and all the rest of it, this is the way I went around the problem. This time I went around it. Anyway, thanks for checking us out. Hope you enjoyed. We'll catch you next time.